he can't like get rid of his account, his Facebook account?
Oh,
I don't know.
he did. Are we live?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to make something up. Huh. Well,
So we should be live. Let's see if we can find a Bubba.
A wild Bubba appears. Hungover or drunk?
keep going.
Which Bubba we gonna get?
Up, up,
I double clicked on his name. Silly me. I double clicked on his name thinking it would actually do something. King of the North.
Wow, he's got like another thing that goes on.
Konnichiwa, bitches.
Yo, what's up?
Oh, it's
Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Bubba? Hello?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear us now?
Maybe.
Yay! That is the best pose ever.
Just do that.
That is exactly how you must do the cast.
I'm 100% doing this cast from bed.
Awesome. That is perfect. Lazing from the lounge of the throne room after being gracefully taken care of by many of his what do you call those girls that the harem, that's the word I'm
They're
looking
called
for.
whores, Will.
Whores. Not when you're royal they're a harem.
Can we get
No,
giant leaves
sometimes.
spanning?
Sometimes. You guys are, maybe it's just my headset. You guys are incredibly
I
loud.
suppose I should put my.
Oh,
headphones
we're
on.
loud? Apparently we're in
much louder than usual, and I've never changed my headphone settings.
too loud.
we're louder than normal.
No, it's fine. I just turned my headphones down. It's fine.
Yeah. Good.
Fuck everyone else.
Good.
Chickadee chick. Yeah, we are really loud.
Well, I can just turn us down.
I don't know.
If we're not
There we
clipping,
go.
then it's okay.
There we go. Well, this shouldn't affect our loudness. This would literally be Skype's loudness.
Like usually,
So how's
usually
that?
I
should put on
usually I
headphones.
find the third puppet on your cast a little quiet,
Oh, poor George.
which he's more like at a normal level now, but then like Will is like super loud.
That's really weird because according to our levels.
Yeah, you got to remember that those levels have nothing to do with Bubba.
Oh, okay.
Bubba is hearing us through the webcam.
Ah.
Yeah.
Fucking webcam.
There we go.
I turned down the volume on the webcam, so it should be a little bit more manageable, but
Menageable.
menage-a-trois-able.
You guys want to come over for a menage a quatre?
Is that when you bring over filet poupard for the quatre?
Maybe.
All right. Apparently, I've been invited to the annual dinner for the Nova Open Charitable Foundation,
Cool.
Where's that?
Arlington, Virginia.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Probably won't make it. Just throwing that out there.
Bubba, the idle moon.
That's amazing.
We need some screenshots of that shit.
All right, where was I? Sent.
That's no moon.
When the moon hits your eye
All right.
like a big.
So this evening's
smile.
topics, gentlemen, are, well, we'll do the news. We're going to make Bubba talk about all the crazy things they've been doing for WTC practice. And then we're going to talk about how to handle arm skew.
So far, my answer to arm skew has been apply skin and bones. That seems to be working.
La 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 la. I apply Banes.
Yeah.
Face to face.
I apply a variety of things and lose. But that's also how I play the game. So really nothing's changed for me.
La 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 la
I
la.
apply any Kador model of my choosing.
Yeah.
They
Really?
all get the job done.
Cossite woodsman?
Always.
Those woodsmen. Dem woodsmen.
Chopping down trees.
All right, so welcome everybody who's early to the cast. Glad to have you. Hey, Aggie's on. I never see Eggy.
Everyone that's early to the cast that has made a horrible mistake to waste an extra 30 minutes of their life. Welcome.
Well, if you're gonna waste the time anyway, you might as well waste all the time.
It is very true. You
That's
might...
true. Their death will not come after the 1 hour cast. It'll come halfway through.
So that being said, now we do our traditional banter
laptop?
while we wait. I should have shown up like another 20 minutes from now. It would have been fine.
I was here at 7 o'clock.
He was here at 7.
What the hell were you doing here at 7
Marbles
o'clock?
wanted to pad her steps.
Oh, so she wanted to get some more walking in.
Yeah, so she came over with the baby.
I did 20,000 steps today. Where am I? I'm at 20,844 steps.
I'm pretty sure that's you.
That's not me. I have a man's ringtone.
Your ringtone's probably Despacito.
It's kind of like your phone's ringing.
That's all it says.
Your phone's ringing.
Phone's ringing. Your phone's ringing.
It's possibly ranging.
It's ringing.
Phone's ringing.
Actually, I think right now it's Easy Street. I'm walking on Easy Street. Oh, I just started typing Easy Street in. That's not the password.
Ah, yes. He has gone into full Geordie LaForge mode.
I'm sleeping.
Just going to have a nap for the next half hour.
Nap hour.
So what are you the most scared of for WTC?
Me personally,
Yeah, what's the most worrying thing?
What's the boogeyman?
I am.
You are the one who knocks.
Obviously, Ghost Fleet
It's Ghost Fleet.
Still Ghost Fleet?
will always be Ghost Fleet now. It's apparently never fucking changing. So
That's fair and balanced.
Well, what is it about Ghost Fleet? Is it just because of how deep it digs and just kills off casters?
it's less the caster killing. Like a good player can avoid that.
Mhm.
It's just like you will never like win on attrition. You will never like kill enough shit to win on scenario. So, just go home and cry.
So as Kador, the answer is you just have to place axe to caster face if you possibly can, and then just try and jam everything up till turn 7.
Kador has answers. Like both the Sorshes can do it. Old Witch 2, when she's officially out, is really good.
She's out, September?
She's out 4 days after fucking WTC.
Oh, no.
She's
Harsh.
the only Grimkin caster that will not be released.
Shite.
Is there anyone playing Grimkin at WTC? Has anyone or have lists locked yet? I didn't check.
Probably. No, list lock is August 26th.
26? Okay.
The day after the fundraiser we're having. Whatever fucking day that is.
So that's your last chance to go, shit, this isn't working?
Yeah. Yeah, conveniently. We totally planned that on purpose.
Well, we've got 15, 20 friggin' minutes. I should have just slept in.
You did sleep in, you working from home motherfucker.
So, Bubba, are you still working like crazy night shift, or are you...
2 more days.
Oh, yeah?
2 more days. And then it's back to like not 14 hours a day.
Back to like normal people hours?
Well, it's still like whenever I want kind of deal, but it won't be 14 hours a day. It'll be like 8 or 9 hours a day.
Like a normal human
I
being.
can have a life. I can play War Machine again. I can see my wife again. It'll be crazy.
Be nice. Well, at least you got some War Machine in on the retreat, eh?
But again, I was only there for like a day and a half.
Oh, you did. You didn't get to stay for the full thing.
I had to work.
Shitey.
Yeah.
Anybody want some beer?
No, I'm good. I got this here can of club soda.
Here, George. Here, George.
That's not beer.
No.
That's cat piss in a green can.
Oh, okay. You
the steam whistle.
Twisted my rubber arm.
This is root beer, which is
Yeah, I was
delicious.
gonna say George looks like he's got a crazy uncle there, so that's delicious.
Mm-hmm. Super delish.
Even with all the glare, I just saw like a pale yellow can. I was like, that's crazy, Uncle.
All the glare, so we're really badly glared.
No, just like the can was.
Oh, yeah. That's what happens when you put studio lights in a place. I've got a bunch more lights to put up here. Oh God! Eventually,
the training camp was really sweet though. The cottage was super nice.
We will talk about that on the
It
cast.
fucking rained the whole time we were there.
Well, isn't that okay when the job is to be inside?
But
just
like
prevents
there are
outdoor
times-
playing.
There are times where you want to take breaks,
Mm.
and you want to be like, "Hey, let's make some food."
Breaks.
And go sit out by the dock and just like chill.
I
It
doubt
was
your
fucking rain.
dedication, sir.
There was
should
two
you have
tornadoes
the
fucking up that way.
blue
Yeah, there
screen
was,
going
too.
on that other
You
side?
chroma key that shit.
Not working.
Look professional.
I am not professional.
Oh, okay.
It's not working.
I decided against that.
All right, fair.
Well,
Two-
being
Who the
professional,
fuck-
I mean.
Who the fuck just said I was married to the road?
Ah.
I know.
Oh, it's Test Rogue.
Do you know who that is?
No, who's that?
It's Aubin.
Oh,
Greasy bastard. I mean, what I love that guy.
Because you signed your fucking page.
the guy
No,
that
he
doesn't,
doesn't.
the guy that doesn't let you leave your office ever.
He lets me leave at 5 o'clock when it's quitting time.
If we didn't know that Aubin was sitting there painting miniatures, going, "Ha ha, ha. Jason, work harder."
Well,
I should probably paint stuff for WTC.
Are you supposed to be
Is
fully
it a-
painted for WTC?
is it a requirement?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you probably should do that. What are you doing here on this stupid cast?
Seems like a thing you should be doing.
I ask myself that every time.
You're not the only one. I ask myself what I'm doing that Wednesday. You know, like that's Wednesday. It's like, do I really want to do a cast? And I look at I've got like an entire room kind of dedicated to it in my basement. I'm like, yeah, I guess I better cast.
He says this bullshit, but Jason and I know the truth. If we're like, gee, we only need to do like 30 casts a year, why don't we take a night off? He's like,
No, we have to get over to my house or I'll kill you.
I'll squeeze your testicles.
Well, that's just for fun.
yeah, that's... So anyways, everybody who's tuned in early, thank you very much for joining us for the pre-show. You didn't even have to subscribe to a Patreon account or anything to get this genius handed to you on a shit platter.
That reminds me, have we poached all of Menoth John's sponsors yet?
We're working on it. I have been extremely busy catching up from life because I was away all last week. And yeah, the guy who is my direct... or the guy I answer to, not my boss, but the guy who pays
Your superior?
my superior. He was away for 3 weeks, so we're basically dealing with the 3,000 things that he didn't deal with while he was away, and the 100 things I didn't deal with while I was away.
Nice.
So yeah, not a lot. Hey, I was impressed that I got show notes done today. I spammed.
I saw those earlier. I saw those show notes. I saw you spam stuff out, and I was like, thank God.
Did you email me those? I didn't check.
Yeah, totally did.
Jesus Christ.
Yep, toots.
As we all know, we specifically do the show notes for the guest.
We didn't do show notes with Tim. He handled it quite well.
Well, he didn't need show notes. We
He's
just
Tim.
the show notes were asked him a question.
Sit back for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Do the lightning round.
Do the lightning round.
Have win.
Do a barrel roll.
Do a barrel roll. Except, of course, that's an aileron roll.
I don't know.
Tim's watching, by the way.
I don't see these notes in my email, so they're probably not there.
I sent them
WTC prep and all
to
things.
I sent them to War Machine Night in Canada, which is the only email address I have for you.
Tim thinks you guys are jerks. Not me, just
Are
you
you
guys.
sure he's got War Machine Night in Canada?
I meant Tim. I meant it in totally the best way. That like
The best way where you're throwing shade?
where like I wasn't throwing shade at all. I'm like Tim's so good he doesn't need no.
Oh, that's.
But
what
wait
you
for you guys to take everything I say
so we're throwing
negatively.
shade at Bubba.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wins.
Damn
in
it!
this
I
scenario.
can't win.
Shades above it.
It's just like when I play War Machine. I can't win.
So has anybody broken the news to you yet
What's that?
about Ostrom?
You're fired.
Ostrom's getting like massively nerfed.
Yep.
How?
By reading his card.
What are you?
P.O. informed George that Tactician is command.
Yeah, I've known that the whole time.
Okay.
That's why I measure command and keep them in command all the time.
George
You
was like,
say that, but I'm sure I've seen those motherfuckers go through shit.
Never had a problem measuring command, George.
Yeah, you say that.
I measured it all. We talked about it like when you and I played that Ostrom game. I was like, no, it's only command. And
is
you
that
were
when
like,
I was drunk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh.
You're gonna have to narrow that.
Because you were like, why don't you just move that? And I'm like, I can't move through there. And you were like, why can't you just move there? You're Ostrom. And I'm like, because tactician only works within command. But apparently George just thinks I massively cheat all the time.
No, I assumed you just read the card wrong.
No, I've never.
I've done that.
I generally measure that whole command thing. That's why I generally also brick up like a giant wad of 9-inch. That's why the dwarves tend to move in this 9-inch brick up the board until they get their charge.
It's like you guys got told by PO. That's bad. No offense, PO.
Why not? I'll offend PO.
Okay.
Fucking offense, PO.
PO smelly.
Tim's doing his. Are you sure that's what the card says?
So I had to subscribe to a new friggin' service this week for television shows so I could watch The Expanse and Twin Peaks.
What service?
Crave TV has
Crave,
The
okay.
Expanse and Twin Peaks.
Do they?
And a couple other garbage things.
That's really nice of you to watch shows legally.
Yeah. I do.
See, this is what happens when you are in video production.
When you work in the television industry.
You feel obligated to pay somebody else's bills.
I'm not going to say how I watch Twin Peaks and The Expanse. Arr!
I watch it the correct way.
On my television.
Yes, I always watch it on my television.
I don't watch TV.
You're too busy practicing for the WTC.
And working all the time.
No, literally, I just don't watch TV anymore. And I was just talking to my wife today. And I'm like, oh my god, next week I can like watch TV again.
There's so much to catch
weird.
up on. You could watch some Rick and Morty, some Game of Thrones.
Oh, new Rick and Morty was hilarious.
Oh my god,
It was like one of the best episodes ever.
Pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick.
I don't even.
Like I've never watched Stranger Things.
Ooh,
Oh, dude.
solid.
Yep.
Like, yeah,
That one's worth
pretty
it.
pumped. Pretty pumped.
And you got like a whole lot of sports to watch coming up. There's sports
No,
of all kinds.
Shut up. There's no sports right now. There's nothing being played.
No
Really?
games of sports?
I thought there was
I
always
thought
sporting.
baseball was at this season.
Shut your.
Oh, I think maybe maybe the
the
local
Blue Jays
the
not
local
to-
teams.
His local sports team and/or college is not doing well.
Yeah, I believe so.
See, none of us knew that was a bad thing happening because none of us follow any kind of
Sounds like
sport.
they need the sports harder.
Yes.
It's like when I go to War Machine tournaments and everyone's talking about like quote nerd stuff like at dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
I just have fucking no idea what's going on. Then I'm like, so you guys watch the baseball game? And everyone's like, what? I'm like, shit. And then I just talk to Dustin.
I'll happily admit I used to watch a lot of baseball and hockey.
I used to watch hockey
Yeah.
when I was younger.
I
in my
watched.
younger
I used
days.
to watch hockey. I had two roommates that kept turning it on, and then they tried to explain it to me, and that didn't go well.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy watching Don Cherry be loud at other people.
Yes, that was I think, the
quite
main-
entertaining.
That was the main attraction for me was Coach's Corner.
And his 19 foot neck.
Yeah.
And the giant collars of doom and the suits that were louder than anybody else on the show.
For those asking, we are 10 minutes out from the live cast. Tonight's topics will be, we're going to talk about WTC practice, which is probably why Tim's tuning in, just to find out what his
How
opponents are.
badly Bubba has failed to practice for the WTC.
And
Tim's not my captain, so I don't give a fuck what he says.
and then
Hashtag not my captain.
we're going to talk a bit about Kador. We're going to talk about that. Well, in the news segment, we have to
talk about Kador?
We're going to pick Bubba's brains on the new theme force. 'Cause that
Oh
was
yes, there's a new
teased.
themey
oh
forsy.
my god, cannot wait to talk about that.
Yeah. It seems
That face tells me that you're
If you
being
guys
sarcastic.
could see the face that we can see.
Hey, it's the sound of the new theme force.
It will involve getting free things for putting things in your things.
If
Jason will go,
if you take a certain
free
amount-
things.
If you
Free
take a
things.
certain amount of things, you will get free things.
Boo, free things.
You're the only person I know who's against free things as a concept.
Oh yeah, I like to work hard for my things.
So abuse?
Yeah,
Just like abuse?
and then I throw a tantrum and
Oh, hey, I found your email, Will.
Oh, good. Sweet.
Yeah, I totally deleted it.
Doom Reaver spam. It's back.
Are Doom Reavers any good?
I don't know. There's a theme for them. Maybe they
This
get
sounds
something
like
good.
Chat. This sounds like chat for the actual cast.
It
Come
is.
on.
Shut your
Why
face
waste
holes.
good
We'll talk about
content?
this.
Why waste good content?
Yeah. And you guys wasted.
We have so little content that we need to save it all up.
Totally legit.
Saving it for the good stuff times.
So I was gonna take like 4 days off and do nothing but play War Machine around the city. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That got nixed because I got called in to do a shoot the
Ouch.
days that I had planned to do that.
Shitty. Well, money's good.
Money's good.
Yeah.
War Machine is better.
I'm so jealous of the fucking Ottawa War Machine scene.
You saw my spam go out?
Like, I just legit, like, I'm like, I just want to move to Ottawa, just play War Machine.
Dude, if you moved to Ottawa and played War Machine, you could just, probably rack up. Well,
We just got rid of
ever have to
Francesco.
buy a model again.
We just got rid of Francesco,
Yeah.
and then Marc Andre started playing friggin'
Magic.
So
So
finally, the
give
prize
every-
support was being spread out to.
Yeah, exactly. If Bubba moves here, then that's it. Like, he just never has to buy a model again.
Yeah.
Store credit.
You're assuming that doesn't happen down here.
Oh,
I stopped winning last place prizes. That's terrible.
I know.
That was like your claim to fame.
That was my claim to fame.
Well, you and Evan used to have to fight for it.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Now
I haven't.
Evan's doing really good.
I haven't played a tournament. I haven't played a tournament in
Now.
like a year. I think CCBB was the last time I played in a
year
tournament.
ago? Wow.
Because every tournament that I go to, I'm either helping running it, or announcing on it, and then I've been how do we put it? Denied going to tournaments.
Well,
the last little while?
I've put up a gigantic list of tournaments, 2 a month.
Yeah.
You should be able to find at
gonna
least
try.
one chunk.
I will not be able to attend Capital City Bloodbath.
And I am actually not even here for CCBB.
I know.
Neither am I. I'm in Nova Scotia.
You fucking.
The Seabound Coast.
Yeah,
projects.
where
With
the
the-
mountains dark and drear I be.
Oh my god.
Well, while you're far away on the Brawny Ocean toss,
Yes.
will you ever save a sigh and a wish for it?
Of course, of course.
Sweet.
Our U.S. listeners are like, what the fuck are they babbling about? All our Canadian listeners are having flashbacks to middle school.
All right, we're 5 minutes out, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got questions about, we're going to be talking a bit about ArmSkew tonight, how to handle ArmSkew with different factions, different lists that handle it well. If you have questions about that, throw them out into the chat. If you
Or if
have,
you can tell us the right answers.
if you can tell us the right answers, that's always cool too. And we're going to be talking about what our big time WTC players are doing for practice for here, the Canadian team. The guys just came back from a weekend at a cottage, so we're going to hear about some of the stuff that they're.
You don't want to hear about the cottage.
What happened at the cottage stays at the cottage.
Someone was in the same place on the floor for almost 20 hours.
Man,
I could have done that.
We thought they were dead.
It was or wasn't it?
No,
That.
Or's Mormon.
It was Charles.
No, I know.
that's why we thought it was Or.
Or's Mormon.
That tablet rolled under
obviously
the
not
bench,
Or.
and he was like, "Fuck this! I gotta see what's on that shit."
No, it was classic Dang Ignac.
Dang Ignac. I don't know.
All right. Well, that wasted
Wow, we are done. Like,
30
that's
seconds.
over.
Yeah, we totally
fucking
talked
run out
about
of content.
talked about everything before the cast even started.
Game over, man.
So, G, what was your binge this week? Was it all Rick and Morty all the time for you?
No, there's one a
Only
week
one
right
episode.
now.
Fair.
I watched some really horrible movies on Netflix. Like
There are plenty.
Really, really bad.
Like you focused
What one?
on like
So I
getting
can
the
watch
worst
it.
ones?
What was the last one called? It was a sci-fi movie, Taken something.
I watched The Girl with All the Gifts this week.
Oh, that's good.
After I reread the, so we did like
Yeah.
a family thing where we all read the book.
Oh, cool.
And then watched the movie.
Watched the movie, yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
it is.
The book is like remarkable.
Yeah, they're both really good, actually. Yes. The movie, actually, I thought did the book pretty good.
Yeah, it did. Well, it was he wrote them at the same time, and he went on different.
I didn't
he
know
went
that.
different directions about the halfway point, like where the plot. If you notice the difference between the book and the movie was like the characters were redeemed themselves a bit better in the movie, and the main they grew more, I think, in the book, if that makes sense. So it was interesting.
So I watched Taking Earth.
That
That
sounds
was
fucking
horrible.
terrible.
I watched Spectral. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad as well. I don't think I made it all the way through that one.
Oh, the end is the best part. That's where they have
really?
the most fun tech and stuff.
Okay.
And I rewatched Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency,
Okay.
the newer one.
Yep.
What else did I watch? I watched some Winona Earp.
Well,
I haven't watched any of that yet.
I've actually watched everything up to this season, and I've got them all PVR'd too. I enjoy it. I enjoy Winona Earp. It is such a let's do everything they did in Buffy and everything they did in Supernatural and smash it together.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, they literally like take the characters are literally kind of lifted from about halfway through Buffy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I watched Preacher. Been keeping up on Preacher. It's
I
really
haven't
good.
been keeping up on it because I
good.
saw that it wasn't done, that the season wasn't done. I'm like,
Oh, yeah, I watch it weekly. I watched the new Alien movie.
I haven't
Covenant?
watched that yet. Looking
It's
forward to
really good.
I really enjoyed Covenant.
It's yeah, you've seen it. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it's really good. Definitely makes up for Prometheus, I think. I watched The Accountant with Ben Affleck.
I enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, it was really good. Affleck. Ben Affleck.
All right, that was our obligatory talking about the television shows that we watched this week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 minutes out. Get your questions onto the stream. Jason's watching the stream to getting all your questions. Yeah, it'll be a good one. It'll be gold. We're 1 minute and 15 seconds is out.
It's about time for another Dresden Files book, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. I
haven't read the series, but I've heard a lot of good stuff about it.
Oh my God, you should read that.
How much longer do we have until the new Marvel TV series comes out?
Which one?
Defenders?
There's a couple of them. The
Defenders.
Inhumans.
Inhumans already.
I thought Defenders was coming
Oh
out.
no,
That
no,
one's coming out on
Inhumans is
Netflix.
Just coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they did
Marvel
the,
has like 3 shows coming out right now.
They did the Inhuman arc in Agents of Shield.
Right.
So I guess they're
Oh, and I watched the new Wet Hot American Summer on Netflix. It's really good. It's fucking stupid as hell.
I never watched the original, so I have had no urge to watch the new one.
It's like the old, like early '90s, like parody, like just dumb, just super
Like the Broken Lizard stuff. And,
kind of, yeah, just ridiculous, like humor. It's pretty funny though.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are 15 seconds out. George, you want to hover over that button because by the time you get it all there, we'll be ready to hit.
I've changed computers,
Oh,
so it doesn't take an hour to do things.
oh, that's sweet.
Good.
Then hit the button.
Recording live from the E. Haley Memorial Studios, straight out of Almont, Ontario, it's time for This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes, your one and only weekly Warmahordes news broadcast. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday night, the beers are cold, the news is fresh, and the death clock starts now.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Death Clock. It is Wednesday night. It's pretty sweet to have us all back in one room. We've been on the road traveling. I think Bubba's going to end up being super loud when he talks the first time because
of course,
because you just brought up the volume on the old internal speakers. We'll see how that goes. We have a cool episode tonight. It's been a while since we had Bubba on. Thank you for joining us once again, Bubba. You've been working hard and haven't had enough time to play all the War Machines ever. Did you get any games in recently? And tell us how they went.
Yeah, I played some games. Am I really loud?
Yeah,
Is it horrible?
You're
Oh
perfectly
God, it's
loud.
horrible. Loud noises. Yeah. So we did the WTC training camp this past weekend. So I got 5 games in while I was up there. Not as many as I wanted, but not bad for a day and a half where most people were in a coma the most of the time I was there. So yeah, 5 games. I played Signar, Rhett, Scorn, other shit I can't remember. I don't know. It's all good.
You played factions.
Yeah, I played Kador. I shot things with rockets.
We're going to talk a bit about some of the training that you've been doing for the WTC in just a bit. But before we do that, I'm going to go to my 2 co-hostesses with the mostesses. First, let's start with PG Semi-Automagic George Schweizer. Tell us a bit about your week in War Machine.
Well, the big thing this week was the Champions format tournament that we did here in town. I went 2-2, so not too bad. I played 2 of the Hard 7 guys. So if you speak French and listen to the Hard 7 cast, you can find out how my games against Alexandre and Philippe went. Mm-hmm. Alexandre was he was new back into War Machine.
Right.
He's been away for a while, and I did manage to clock him. He was doing pretty well. And then Philippe and I played the Grimkin Mirror match.
Are you playing Philippe Poupard?
Yeah.
I love Philippe Poupard.
In round 2.
The king of salt.
He is salty. And we both learned a lot about Grimkin that day. Because we both picked it up, and it's been out for 2 weeks, so we were both doing different things wrong. So we managed to clear
You guys
each
were
other
both
up
reading your cards
incorrectly.
Yeah.
Yep. And we managed to get that stuff cleaned up, and he did take me down, and then I played against
to the Paradise City,
where the grass is green and the girls are pretty.
Oh my god! And then I managed to, if you're going to talk like that, kick his ass. Somebody decided that what the best way to do was move your caster within trample distance of one of my beasts, and then make sure there's nothing anywhere near your caster that would block a land zone.
What an idiot. Who would do that?
Yeah. So we'll find out who would do that once you ask
I
Jason.
think the one thing that one giant mistake we've made with George was doing like weeks where we did nothing but focus on power attacks. Because since then, that's like all he does. Is like,
trample.
You forgot about power
Trample.
attacks. Bloop, you're dead.
Yeah. Oh, you can't
Or
block
throws. I like throwing jacks
a
at
landing
casters.
zone in front of your caster.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fucked.
Super awesome.
Kodiaks are my favorite model for that.
Jason, you managed to get to a tournament, which you haven't done in a
did.
while. How did you do?
Yeah,
And how
I
did
did okay.
Yeah.
My first game was against Matt McSummers, McSpring, McWinter.
I don't even know that
Matt,
guy's name.
Some Matt guy. He was playing the Heretic.
I hear
was
he's
playing,
okay.
Yeah, he was all right. I mean, I was playing Dark Host.
He
and
did
he
wonders
was,
for your strength of schedule.
Yeah, he did.
Since he won the tournament.
Yep. He won the tournament, but I had the Heretic down to 1 box.
Ooh, it would have been nice to crush that dream.
If my die had rolled a 4 instead of a 3, I would have lived the dream, but that was not to be. Then I had to play Alid, who was playing Legion, which was going to be a very tough matchup for me because
you're like, I remember those models.
he had
remember.
double Raptors and Callus 2, and I'm like, Banes can't hit Raptors. That's not going to be good for me at all. So what I did was just I jumped a Stalker into Callus and just killed him because that seemed the easiest way to do it. And then I had to play George, and he just trampled me because I blocked off. I have a terrible problem with unpacking my army.
Yes. Yeah.
And I tend to block things in, which I did against George, and I couldn't get anything over to block a landing zone in front of my caster.
Well, to be
and then
fair,
he just
you
trampled Skin
You
and
set
Bones
up
right to him.
entirely across the board. I set up across from
Yeah.
you, and then just ran everything to the
Towards-
right.
yeah.
And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
now a bunch of my shit is nowhere near you.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty bad, honestly.
Well, I was away, so I haven't had a single game in. And I tried to play on Monday, but then it was a holiday, and I hadn't been at home for a week, so I figured it was best to stay at home. So unfortunately, I have no stories to regale you guys with. Let's go straight to this week's news, ladies and gentlemen. There's the biggest news, really, is that all the themes apparently
Yes.
will drop by September, or in
Yeah.
September, or
In
by
September.
in
In
September.
Not by September.
And there's a wild variety of suppositions on how many themes that will be, but it's supposed to be the ones that they're saying everybody will have. Every single model in the game will be able to fit into a theme somewhere. So there's anybody saying like from 6 themes per faction to 2 or 3 per faction, but there's some excitement out there as to the themes. Everybody getting theme machine is a thing.
Yep. Well, it's been a thing for a while. They've publicly stated that many times, and we're just sort of seeing the fruition of it. My guess is we're going to see 5 themes per real faction, and then micro factions will get 2. Probably Convergence will get 2. Grimkin already has 2.
So, are these going to be all the themes for Mark III?
No.
Okay.
It will be all the currently planned themes.
Okay.
So that doesn't necessarily mean it will be all the themes. It will just be the massive amount of them.
And they're still saying the new No Quarters will come out with a new theme every month. So there's still the plan for the long term that there could be more themes. And they're also saying that these themes aren't necessarily in CID yet.
Yes.
That will get CID'd down the road.
Yeah. So what they're doing is basically they're like, fuck
Here's
it,
your
you
themes.
people, you're bitching and complaining that nobody has the themes they want. So it's just, fuck it, we'll release all the themes, whether they're ready or not. And you guys can play with broken shit because you're a bunch of whiny babies.
Which is a terrible fucking idea.
Yeah. And then...
Because there will be, like...
We'll put them through CID.
There'll be a couple themes that are absolutely broken as shit.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll bet you more than a few themes that are absolutely trash unplayable.
Yep.
That no one will play ever. And it'll be like... And then everyone will go, thanks, PP. And it's like, well, it's their fucking fault. Yeah, idiots.
Yeah. Fortunately, at least we do know they will be going through CID eventually.
Yeah, and they may take some. Probably the ones that are broken as shit will go through first. And
yeah.
Anyway.
And word on the street, based on what Pagani posted, is that they'll likely come out the last week of September. Because somebody cried, I can't remember exactly the conversation. Somebody cried on Twitter about WTC and all that shit, and how like the themes will be out, but the list lock will already have happened, so like they can't play these themes. Blah 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 blah. Pagani's like, don't worry, like we thought about WTC, so I think it might be the last week of September.
Well, at least they thought about WTC this time, and not
It only took 4 years.
Yeah. So the big thing is that same announcement came basically an overview
as part of the Insider.
As part of the Insider, what the new Khador theme is going to be like. I mean, I'm just going to throw it straight to Bubba because we can't really comment on it. Bubba has a better idea. Tell us a bit about that Khador theme and your thoughts on it, Mr. King of the North.
It's a literal dumpster fire.
So what's in the dumpster?
So in the dumpster is Greylord models and units, and Doom Reavers. All Greylords in Khador right now are currently overcosted and die like wet pieces of paper. Greylord Turnian specifically are 7 points for 3 models at 1 wound each. Armor 13, Def 13, Armor 13, maybe Armor 14. Like they're garbage. They're like every faction has like a standard 3-man unit that's not character, but those usually have 5 wounds, like tack or something like that. Well, not tack anymore, and Greylord Turnian have 1 fucking unit, so they're shit. And then Doom Reavers, which needed to be adjusted at the end of Mark II, and they probably got adjusted a little too hard. They're now 13 points for 6 models. Again, very, very pricey. While they're still quite good in terms of actual ability, paying that many points for them reduces their effectiveness. And then things like Greylord Outriders, the Cav, again, they're actually pretty good stat-wise and stuff. They're 20 points. It's a lot of points to be investing, and in comparison to a lot of other things in Khador, they're just not going to cut it. So while I think maybe down the road, if that Theme Force gets CID'd, it could look really good because they might make things a little cheaper. Maybe buff an ability here or there. But there is a really cool interaction that people are going to see once Old Witch 2 comes out that'll make people cry. I don't know if I want to tell people yet. It's pretty hilarious. David Beauchamp's face when I told him was like tears of joy.
So did they say anything about what you get if you hinder yourself with all these really expensive models?
Oh, right. So standard, take 20 points of Greylords or Doom Reavers, and you get a free smaller medium-based solo.
Oh, they're coming for you, Bubba.
Yeah, the small town of Fergus, the cops. You get a smaller medium-based solo for free, or a command attachment, which currently is quite limiting. as there are no attachments for Greylord units in Khador. Although, like, a 10-man Greylord unit would be cool. So you can, the only command attachment you can take is the one for Doom Reavers, and then the solos you can take would be Forge Seers, Colden Lords, and that's it. My God, that is not a lot of shit.
Yeah.
The of course expectation is a lot of this stuff is there's stuff it's being built for things that are not released yet, as well as the suppositions. So
and then the other thing is there's two more things. You get apparition on one unit, and you get to choose a different unit at the start of every turn. So people are like, well, apparating Doom Reavers. I'm like, yeah, that's cute, but it's not, like, it's only one unit, so it's not super great. Like a Legion theme has that now, Children of the Dragon or some shit. And it's like, it's cute more than anything. It's not going to win you a game. And then you get free upkeeps at the start of the game. Again, little cool thing. Super bad for Doom Reavers because they have Spell Ward, which I'm quickly learning Spell Ward is one of the worst rules in the game. Like,
you just don't like it on a model?
Yeah, I just, like, why not just give things Sacred Ward?
Fair enough. Okay, so the last thing, of course, is the Troll CID ended since our last cast.
Yep.
Troll players seem pretty happy about the whole thing overall.
Yeah, well, they got a bunch of things that they've always wanted. They got a Reach Heavy, which has always been one
maybe
of those.
Got some things that they got to test out some things that they've always wanted.
Well, they definitely have built a model for a large-based troll with reach weapons.
Yep.
And the art for that looks amazing.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's coming out. What its stats are, maybe don't know, but in testing, Mulg was pretty good. Madrak 1 was pretty good. So there's a lot of stuff, and we've seen that things coming out of CID are pretty close.
Pretty close. Well, and whatever things were a little bit crazy in testing generally get tweaked back a little bit, and things that were still a little bit bumpkiss in testing get pushed forward a little bit.
Yeah.
They've done a good job at finding the middle ground on most of the testing, which is good.
I've actually been quite happy that the things that seem to be caught by CID are being taken care of. Like, PP's going like, oh yeah, we totally didn't think of that, and yet there's still, the developers do seem to still be doing something.
Yep.
There's a lot of people worried that stuff that went into CID would just come out of CID exactly the same as the end of CID, and that has
it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare.
Sorry.
I agree. I think trolls are looking pretty good. Mulg and champions and stuff like that. Also, just the aesthetics that trolls are going into, like the design faction looking really good. I think trolls are on the up and up. Even I'm kind of like, maybe after WTC War Machine weekend kind of thing, I'll pick up trolls again. They look really good. But just talking specifically about CID and those releases, like, just to parlay a little really quickly, do you feel that, like, the crying in the meta that's kind of happening is affecting things a little more than it should?
I think I did. We've talked a bit about this on the show in the past, that, you know, basically CID is being pushed and driven a lot by crying. Like, by crying is a hard term, but by basically the complaints.
It's the squeaky wheel problem.
The squeaky wheel problem. But I'm finding in the last couple of months, since we really started campaigning for, play games, ignore CID unless you are actively testing, I'm finding that starting to tune back a little bit. I think if you're still really active in the CID, it might seem that is the truth, because that's what's going on in CID. But I'm not feeling as pressured by it anymore. Maybe that's just because of CID burnout or whatever you want to call it. But that's my feelings. George, what do you think?
I have specifically been staying away from CID, actually. Now, I do think that the squeaky wheel is always going to get the grease, just because they're the people. You can't design for what people don't tell you. I work in IT, and I have a large problem with walking up to a computer and it's falling apart and there's crap everywhere, and they're like, well, it's always been like this. Well, if you don't say anything, nothing gets fixed. And the same thing holds true of things like CID. I think it is PP's job to make sure that doesn't go too far. And so far, the stuff that has actually released has seemed to be okay to me.
How do you feel about it, Jason? Do you have any comments on that, or are you?
Tim made a comment that he doesn't that I agree with. He mentioned that unfounded complaints typically don't get any kind of attention at PP, and I think that's probably the case. There is a lot of complaints headed that way. I mean, if they had to listen to all the bitching that was involved, then I mean, they probably know. They're not stupid. They know which things work and which kind of don't. So they probably listen to those people that back up that evidence and probably
the backing up the evidence is probably the main thing, because I think that they've stated it several times, like, we're really not going to pay attention unless you back it up.
Exactly.
So Bubby, you asked the question, so let's bring it back around to you. How do you feel about it?
Like, similar to George, I actually pay zero attention to CID. Basically, they post that like first one, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's cool, and then I never pay attention to it again. They'll be like, here's the first troll CID, I'll read the whole thing, and then they'll be like, update, 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 and I won't read any of the updates. I just really don't care. Like, I think War Machine has problems, and I think PP is trying to fix them, and that's fine. I just play the game as it is for what it is. There's nothing you can, like, Ghost Fleet's a problem, but they're like, well, you guys can figure it out, and models will be releasing that will help with that. Okay, cool.
Well, and that I think is the game we need to go back to. I mean, to go all around this circle once again, the game that I want to go back to, the game that the War Machine I love, is having some broken things that may get fixed down the road, but doesn't need to be fixed immediately. I need to learn how to deal with those things as best I can. And that's the game I loved. That was the strategy. Sometimes you play some broken lists. Sometimes Ostrom exists. Sometimes Ghost Fleet exists. Haley 2, yeah.
That was
still exists.
It still exists.
George, that's a different don't now.
All right, talking about getting good and dealing with stuff like
Tim
that.
Tim said I wasn't allowed to say that.
Oh yeah, right. I'm not allowed to say getting good.
Get good.
Talking about how you deal with these things. Let's talk about some of the broken lists. And to do that, we're going to talk a bit about how our Canadian WTC team is practicing right now. Bubba, you guys are sort of getting full-fledged right now, getting ready for the WTC as the lead-up happens. Let's talk a bit about you mentioned it a bit on the pre-show. Let's get you to talk a bit about it again. You guys went on a retreat this weekend. What were you guys focusing on to get to practice and prepare yourself for your opponents?
So what we wanted to do is get ourselves into an environment where we could all a large group of highly competitive players could be together in a place that we would sleep and eat and all that stuff and just play games. Until we were tired of playing games, and then we would do other things. So it wasn't like where you go to a con and there's a lot of distractions, friends, going out, doing other things, blah, 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 where you'll play a lot of games in theory, and then you're like, oh, I went to this con. How was that for 3 days? Well, I played 5 games. And it's like, oh, well, like, you could have played like 25 games if you really wanted to just play games. So we wanted to put ourselves into that mindset. So we rented a cottage in the Muskokas, up in Aurelia, and or down in Aurelia for you guys. We were going to stay Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday was the holiday for a lot of people. I unfortunately could only do Friday, Saturday. Some other people had some weird things, but in total there was 11 players there, 9 WTC players, and then 2 people that we asked to come to fill, so we just had some more people, so that everyone could be playing, and like then somebody could be like cooking or doing whatever, cleaning up our fucking mess.
So 2 people, 2 servants, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Mine must have went to my spam box.
Yeah,
my invitation.
So it was super awesome. The cottage was great, but the mindset behind it was get up there, play the games, play against, and these are all competitive players, so they're playing the good lists anyway. So there's Ghost Fleet there, there's Kador there, there's Ostrom there, all that kind of stuff. So it was like play against the good lists, and it's a free environment to tweak, to just be like, okay, we just played this matchup, didn't go well after turn 3. Okay, let's just stop this game. We don't have to finish it. We'll re-rack it. I'm going to try a different strategy. I'm going to change out a model or 2. Maybe I think this would work a little better, right? We'll min this unit, and we'll bring in this solo or that kind of thing. So it's just a really good environment to do that kind of thing. And it's also really good because there's a lot of other really great players there that can give you that feedback. And like, we're all there to help each other. It's not like at a con where you're like, well, I know what's a little bit better, but I don't want you to beat me, so I'm not going to tell you until after we're done. It's like, I'm going to tell you right now because we're all trying to help each other for WTC. Because while we're technically different teams, we're all Team Canada. So we just want to make it good. So everyone just played a shit ton of games and tried to narrow down their list, because list lock is in, what's today, the 9th? It's on the 26th, I believe, or 27th, that weekend, the Sunday of that weekend. So like 3 weeks, not even, less than that, yeah, 2.5 weeks. So we're just trying to figure all that out. And then once you're list locked, that's when you can just play those 2 lists until you go blind.
So we've talked a bit about this in previous shows, and we talked about the WTC, but I would like to get your input on this. What's the difference between when you're preparing for a team tournament versus how you do your when you normally practice for tournament play? Is there a different, like in your list setup and that kind of stuff? What is your preparation?
So in general, when you're going to a steamroller, you're worried about everything, right? And while it's nearly impossible to cover everything in the game with 2 lists, you try your absolute best. Maybe making a lot of matchups a little more mediocre rather than having like peaks and valleys. Whereas in a team environment, you can be like, I have a hard dodge, and like that could be an entire faction. Like, I don't want to play Kador, for instance, as say a Legion player, right? They don't want to play Kador, or a Kador player is like, well, if I am going to dodge Crix / Ghost Fleet, I don't need to take this caster. I could just focus on everything else and be super, super strong into the rest of the field minus Ghost Fleet. And then at the WTC, you're like, okay, the list pairing process, just don't put me into Ghost Fleet, guys, and I'm going to give you a really, really strong matchup into almost anything else. So in a steamroller, it's well, you can still do that and hope to dodge Kador or Ghost Fleet or Ostrom or whatever. At WTC, it's a little easier just because of how the pairings work. You're doing different pairings every round. So a lot of, almost every country will do the strategy of, I'm going to try to find one hard dodge and build my pairing to focus on the rest of those things. And that'll make you a stronger player into all those other things, assuming you can avoid the one boogeyman to you personally. And every player, you don't build a team that's like everyone's scared of Ghost Fleet. You're like, one guy, maybe 2 are scared of Ghost Fleet, and 3 people have a good matchup into it because they brought that list.
Awesome. So when you guys are doing that kind of prep, are you specifically thinking about the other teams? Like, is there a team that you're worried about, or is it just specifically lists that you're sort of teching against?
It's impossible to tech against teams because you have no idea what they're playing. You might have a vague understanding, like, you know, I'm friends with Konrad Szosinski from Poland. I know that Konrad plays Crix. He played Crix when Crix was bad. So, like, it's on all likelihood he's going to play Crix. So you can know that, but you don't know what he's playing. Europe is very, very different from North America in terms of what they play. Like in Mark II, they were playing Cav when we weren't playing Cav. Right now, Europe is basically Signar and Crix. The Iron Moot that just happened last weekend, the top 16 of Masters was 6 Signar, 5 Crix.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then 5 other shit bags. Like, you're like, if you went to that tournament with your 2-list pairing and were like, I need to dodge one of those factions, well, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're dead. Yeah.
So it's impossible to tech against that because you don't know what people are playing, and somebody could be like, oh, I'm going to pick up Grimkin. And their locals might know that, but you're not going to talk to the local Polish, community.
Yeah, exactly.
Nor are they going to tell you.
Yeah.
So you try to tech against the things that are strong. You're like, okay, obviously Haley 2 is going to be there. Ghost Fleet's going to be there. Kador or Jack Spam's going to be there. That kind of stuff. Legion Flying Beasts is a really good list right now. That kind of stuff. So that's what you prepare for. and it's kind of a crapshoot. It really is. It's kind of weird like that. You're like, you put all this prep and practice in, and then you submit your lists, and then they, in a couple weeks they poop out all the lists for all the 320 players, and you're like, all right, cool, that was good, and then or you could be like, well, shit, we fucked up.
Was there any thought at all? We've heard of weird like mono teams and stuff like that. Is there ever been any thought of that, or does that just cripple you too bad?
Well, it happened in Ireland. There was a team. Sweden did all cricks. I think it could happen this year, and I think there could be an all Kador team. I think that would be a pretty strong play. Kador's caster bench is just ridiculously deep. I'd be surprised if there was... The only other factions I could think of that somebody would try it would be Signar or Crix, just with how strong the Crix teams are right now. But I would find it quite rare. I could see a team of like half and half maybe. You go like 2 Signar, 3 Kador or something. That could be pretty strong. I'd be pretty surprised though. It didn't work out for the Swedes when they did it. Let's put it that way.
Jason,
because you're probably not putting players on their best faction. Like there's probably not going to be 5 Kador players like that. So
yeah, exactly. It's not like you have 5 guys who are like, this is my faction, and you just happen to put them together.
So I'm curious. Tim mentioned on the board, if people are reading what's going on the chat right now, that Bubba helped out his team with their positioning game.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of curious as to, like, when you're giving feedback on positioning, Bubba, what kind of general feedback are you giving when you're helping out some of your other WTC players as far as positioning advice?
So in general, like I'll play, like say I'm playing like a pikeman spam or something, and they just need to keep me from getting in, hitting, and repoing back and being in feet and stuff, like, and staying in other charges. So like I played a game against Josh, who's testing out a Menoff list that he wanted to play, and he just was constantly trying to be overly aggressive with his caster, so that like he was getting a lot of work done, and then like putting guys in front of me that I could clear, and then because I moved through my own guys, like my Ulans would charge his caster and kill him. So we kind of like worked through that. Like we'd finish the game and be like, or he'd finish his turn. Like it could be mid game, and I'm like, well, I'm not just gonna go for like, I'll kill you if you want, but like we can move these models around a little bit and be like, instead of doing this, you did this. Like I remember he backed up out of range of my conquest, and he's like, okay, your conquest threat's 11 with the speed buff. Okay, cool. Let's put down the thing. Okay, I'm gonna stay out of 11. And he like goes there, and then he like goes to do something else, and I was like, my Ulans charge 13 inches, right? And he's like, oh, right. So I'm just gonna die next turn. I'm like, absolutely, you are. So we kind of like just talk about that. Like it's not, you can stop games in the middle and be like, well, let's like, why did you do this positioning move? And we can work on that, like kind of on the fly while you're playing, rather than being like, well, that was dumb, I'm gonna kill you.
Now, when you guys are training, is it important to have the sort of like training buddies thing where outside of having the house like that, is it really good to have one or two people that you can train against, like you're talking about, where you just stop the game and go, okay, that's really dumb, why did you do that? Or is it better to just get more competitive games in?
No, I think, well, you're playing competitive lists, so by nature you're going to have a competitive game, and like in that training scenario, you want to test your list to its fullest potential. So you want to play with the mindset that you're trying to win and you're trying to go for the throat. But at the same time, you will try to be like, okay, I'm gonna not feat here and see what happens, and then be like, well, that was a terrible mistake, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But more than, you want the players to be like people that you trust and you trust to give you proper feedback and real feedback.
Mm-hmm.
You want them to tell you the truth about, like, was that a good play? Was this a good idea? Was this a good list? That kind of thing. and you want that feedback. So like, you know, people do play it close to the vest sometimes, like I said at cons, but like these people need to be completely open with you about how you're playing, how your list, things you can do to improve. And those are the people that you want the feedback from. And it's just, you need constant feedback. You don't want them to just be like, yep, I think your list is bad.
Yeah, you need actual
just be like,
feedback.
Yeah, just be like, well, like why? Well, I like don't play. I think you have one too many heavies in there because of this. You could do this instead. Blah blah blah. It's endless. It's an endless array of ideas that can help. So it's just those kind of people. Those are what you want.
Sorry, we have a question from the board.
We have a couple questions from the board.
Oh, bring it.
Baron von Echo was wondering, for people who are in a meta that doesn't necessarily have a group of super skilled players, but want to get better to the point where they could go to these national events, what would you recommend, Bubba, that they do to kind of push themselves?
Read War Room all the time. Like, when you go take a poop, read War Room. I'm not joking.
Yep.
When you go, like everyone goes to the bathroom and they're on their phone or they read a book or whatever. I have Guinness Book of World Records in my bathroom, whatever. Read War Room so that you know your cards and you know all your enemies' cards, for the most part. Model knowledge is, like, one of the biggest things. Like, if you know what your opponent's crap does and you can play your turn knowing what he can and cannot do to you, that's such a huge deal. The other thing, like, and that's a pretty simple thing, right? Going to take a poop and reading War Room, that's pretty simple.
Yep.
That doesn't require a lot of skill.
Nope.
The other thing is, like, play games. Just play games. You can't be like, well, I wanna do this and go to this next step, and you'd be like, well, Baron von Echo, how many games do you play a week? Well, one on Mondays at the Barley Mow, right? So like that's not gonna work. Like, you got to play some games. And just push yourself. Like, don't be scared to play against Haley 2 or all the bullshit out there. Like, play against it and be like,
Play into bad matchups.
yeah, play in the bad matchups.
Yeah.
And then talk to your opponent. Be like, Will, your awesome list. Oh, just kick the shit out of me again. Like just be like, what did I do wrong? And Will probably be like, well, fuck you. But he might be like, well, like, you should stop moving your caster here so that I'll kill him.
I will say one thing about the Barley Mow meta. None of us are ever afraid to tell our other person where they fucked up.
Oh yeah.
So we have one more question from the boards, and
Yeah.
then
Going to cons is really helpful too.
Right. And local
If you
tournaments.
ever want to make WTC, and you apply and you have not been to an American con, you're pretty fucked.
Yeah. Somebody would also like to know, what is the best Legion of Steel caster?
Well, I will say a Rusk one.
Okay.
But I am biased. A Rusk one is my favorite caster. I'm pretty sure a Rusk 2 just runs it better. But I think there's a Rusk 1, a Rusk 2, Strakov 2, and Old Witch 2, and Zerkova 1. So 5. I think there's 5 really good casters for Legion of Steel in Khador. You can play any of those 5, and I think you'll have a good time. Zerkova 1 requires the most skill, though.
That's why I lose so much with it, but I'm really enjoying it.
If you want to push,
it's so good.
If you want to push yourself and be a really, really good Khador player, play like 100 games with Zerkova 1, and you will just do bad things to people after those 100 games because she is so fucking good, but so hard to play. And you'll just be so far above people that you'll be like, I can just do whatever I want. And then if you play like a shittier caster that doesn't require skill, oh, you're going to feel like a god.
without giving away what you guys are playing, obviously, because the list lock hasn't happened yet, and I'm sure you don't want that knowledge to be public.
I will absolutely not talk about that.
That's exactly it. What are the boogeymen matchups for you guys though? When you're thinking about them right now, and it can be the general Canadian WTC team. What are the themes that are scary to you guys? The casters that are scary to you guys, and tell us, how you sort of deal with. You've already told us. I mean, basically play into them and figure out. But what are they right now in the greater meta?
Again, I think this is a North American question. Because I bet you Europeans would give you a completely different answer.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of what we already know. Ghost Fleet is really scary. Haley 2 in heavy metal is really scary. Kador in any of the 3 themes is really scary. I think that the Scorn wins tier is actually really, really good. The Derp Turtle is amazing. That thing is like a god. I think Rhett can, like, Virus 2 is still a thing, even though I haven't seen him much lately. Virus 2 is very strong in the Jack tier. So it's just kind of like, to answer your question, like what you guys probably already know. The things that you guys are kind of scared of up there, like Ostrom Bunnies is amazing. Like, so like those are the things we have to plan for. And while we're not like not all scared of them, some of us are like, well, I don't want to play that. I don't want to play that. So it's just kind of to dodge the odd thing here and there. So yeah.
Last question to sort of end this section of the evening is tell us about the upcoming fundraiser tournament.
Sweet. So August 26th, whatever the hell that Saturday is, we're having a 5-man fundraiser tournament. Five teams of 5 guys, sorry, or ladies. It's in Guelph, Ontario, at the Dragon, where we held it last year. We have space for 16 teams, I think. We're at like 11 right now. I can't remember exactly. So there is room if you guys want to bring a team from somewhere. It's going to be super awesome. All the WTC players are split up on different teams. So like I'm helming a team of hilarious scrubs whom I love very much, and one person on my team that I hate. International War Machine superstar Jeffrey Chua is on my team though. So you guys are all fucked because that guy's the best Kador player I know. And so it's gonna be really sweet. So we split all the WTC players up just to kind of mix it up. So we're not like, okay, well the 2 WTC teams are gonna like fuck you. So like anybody can win this. It's completely open. Like we have no idea what's gonna happen. But we're gonna have a raffle there. We're gonna have we did like kind of sounds childish a bit. We did like a little bake sale last year, and it was actually like crazy successful. It made a bunch of money. So we're doing that again with some of the wives of players have agreed to bake us a bunch of stuff. We're gonna do like lunch and that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's like $150 per team, a little higher than normal, but again, it's a fundraiser for the team, trying to offset the ridiculous cost of flying to Europe. We'll have all the swag on sale, like the measuring sticks and that kind of stuff will be there. You do have to be there to buy them, unfortunately, but you can contact Chris Orr if you want them. I'm sure he'd love some more emails about that kind of crap.
I would highly suggest the extended control sticks, the longer ones starting at 11 inches. They are so useful.
So we have like a lot of people have like the 4-inch to 10-inch measuring sticks. We have 11-inch to 14-inch for sale that are all emblazoned in the Team Canada stuff. Yeah, they look really, really good in either red or white. Mm-hmm. Or finally gave me my set last weekend after like 3 months of me asking them for them. And they're amazing. So those are pretty rare too. 11 to 14. It's pretty awesome to just measure a charge at like 12 inches and just be like, boop, there it goes.
I use mine for control areas all the time. To check control area, just be able to grab that is so good.
Yeah, Legion players love them for their really long charges.
Yeah, I use them for Ostrom's feet turn. It's, hit that button. It's time for us to get a little bit of focus. Tonight's focus, we're going to talk about arm skew, because I mean the reason why this came up is we've been dealing with a lot of Kador players in our meta. Now, what's funny is it seems like all of a sudden there aren't that many Kador players. There's been a lot of quick switches to Grimkin in the last little while, but arm skew has become kind of a thing. Not only do we have a lot of Kador players, but we're finding arm skew is starting to carry into other factions as well.
Well, with stuff like heavy metal and Signar and stuff like that, it's really dealing with massive amounts of armor is a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing, especially if that armor can be raised yet another notch, or they've got notches. Say 36 boxes on top of all of that. So
34,
whatever. It seems like 30,000 when all is said and done.
It's just the battle engine.
Just the battle engine. Yeah.
Well, that's 38. That's a whole different thing.
What? You don't have 40? Wow.
So, didn't the Mercs get 40?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about that. So we can go around the table. We could talk about it in different ways, but let's talk about why this is so difficult. Jason, you've been trying to crack armor for a little while. You've been playing Crix, and with Ghost Fleet, you didn't feel like you had.
Ghost Fleet, I just didn't really enjoy playing. I don't enjoy the style of Ghost Fleet.
But
it's a great list, and I think it's a really good indicator, but I just didn't.
But it didn't click for you, and that's fine, and
Yep.
that's what the game's really about. You don't want to play a list that just doesn't click with
it
you,
just
even
doesn't.
if it is super amazing balls
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
So, but you were having trouble cracking armor with your alternate lists other than Ghost Fleet, and finally you got your...
Texas has a really hard time into.
So what was it? What was it that, like, why was it so hard? What was it that made it so difficult for you to handle it?
The big thing for me was that the giant armor Harkovich skew. I played it against George and a couple other Khador players a couple times, and basically I was running Satixis at the time, and they just run trample up into your face, and if you don't get an alpha, you just can't damage them. Harkovich he feats, and your dice off 12, and if you can't get a charge, then you're not gonna swing any damage. So it's just really hard to deal with that. Crix, I think, has better tools for that now, especially with Dark Host. But in the past, it was definitely an issue.
Oh, I had the same problem with Gun Bunnies, because Gun Bunnies at POW 12, even with 3 dice, I just could not make the turnover to get enough damage, especially with the spread. Most Khador players were good enough to throw up a few clouds and feed me a model.
Exactly.
And I still couldn't, totally annihilate them within the round. So I just was not able to get enough out of each round. I'd have to figure out an assassination vector. Ignore the jacks. And assassinate instead. So George, you had a chance to play Khador quite a bit over the last couple of months. How did you feel like playing? And you played armor skew almost, and when you were playing Scorn, you went the same direction. What was sort of your boogeyman matchups, and what did you not look forward to when you were playing that style of game?
Well, generally when I was playing, I had 2 lists, one that could handle armor and one that couldn't. And sometimes I worried that meant that I was always sort of pigeonholed into a list. But my answer traditionally, and this is the same thing I've done in Khador, in Scorn, Convergence, Grimkin, all of them, is I always have a list with big, powerful, hitting Jacks or Warbeasts. And that's how I have always answered it, as opposed to doing something like debuffing, which some lists do, or having, precision strikes that, can take out a Cortex so that it sort of neuters the heavy armor. It's still there. You still might have to chew through it, but it's not doing anything to you. My answer was always, well, if you bring big meaty things, I can just bring big meaty things that hit hard.
So you just countered hamburger with hamburger, basically. Yes. Going over to Bubba, because this is probably where we're going to learn something.
Not from me.
Not from us. Bubba, you've played a ton of armor skew. You know how this rolls over and how this works. What are the best solutions for those players that are just beating their heads against the Harkovich meat mountain? What is your suggestion to them?
It's to one of 2 things. Try and beat them on scenario, which means you focus on a few of the jacks and you just leave everything else alone. And you're like, I'm just going to kill these 2 models and try to race to a scenario victory, which is easier and more difficult than it sounds, for lack of a better word. Like, you need a really good eye for what's going on the table, like 2 or 3 turns ahead of time, which can be difficult to predict, but it is an option. The other thing is just kill Harkovich. If he's standing next to a jack, he's 16-18, but if he's not, for whatever reason, he is far more killable. He's only a 14-16. He's got 18 boxes, so he will die. Now, I will say all this and I've heard it from a lot of people, especially Europeans, and you guys are saying the same thing, is why, I can't beat this Harkovich Jack spam list. And I'll tell you this, and you can ask my WCC teammates, they will agree, and lots of other, really good players will agree. Harkovich Jack spam is not the scary Jack spam. Karchev Jack spam is far scarier. It hits way harder. It threats less initially, Warpath's really good. Also, guess what you can't do? Ever kill Karchev. So, he can just bully the board himself. And, late game, maybe you make it to late game against Harkovich, and you're like, well, I can just try and kill you. Late game against Karchev, you're like, well, I lose.
Yeah, because you've still got a Karchev on the board.
Yeah. Like, Karchev Jack Spam is just, it's just straight better. Like, let me put it this way, and I'll say it. Harkovich Jack Spam, not even on my radar for WTC.
Wow.
So what's to move? We only deal with Harkovich a lot because that's what two of our regular players throw at us.
Yeah.
So what are the
whoever they are, both of them, tell them to play Karchev.
So what are the boogeymen for the Karchev Jack Spam lists? What are the to go? We don't have to go through every single faction, but like what are a few of the cool casters that deal with that well?
I think Dark Host is really good with that. Like a Scar Dark Host would be incredibly effective, or like a Gatsby too. Either of the Arusks in Legion of Steel, very strong for what George mentioned. Precision Strike can also toss out Battle Lust. Excellent beer choice there, Jason. To just pick away and cripple things as you want. Also, knockdowns are super strong. Like a Ret, Double Sentinel Spam, really strong. Anything with Weapon Masters, of course, is what you're looking to get the job done against the Jack Spam. If you can back that up with any kind of Cloud Wall or denial of charging or running, also really strong. Again, Jason mentioned that you need to get an alpha. A Cloud Wall will obviously allow you to do that. Mm-hmm. So a combination of those things, every faction's got little bits and pieces of that. Or anything that can just kill Harkovich is great. So, yeah. Weapon Masters are good.
Or I'll just let anybody know who's going after Harkovich. If you can figure out a way to mind control Behemoth, Harkovich is dead. Because Behemoth steps away from Harkovich, because almost always that's who Harkovich is cuddling. And then
a mistake.
Those Weapon Master strikes to the face are not good.
Like a Machine Wraith?
Yeah, like Machine Wraith. Goddamn Ghost Fleet.
Harkovich should always cuddle up to a Devastator.
Isn't that Behemoth a character jack?
Yeah.
Yep, you can now mind control.
Oh, you can mind control characters. Old rules. Let's talk about the change in the 2017 scenarios now that we have scenarios that are dependent on having solos and units. Mm-hmm. Does this change the game at all? Does this mean the scenario game is stronger now against heavy Jack Spam? What do you guys think?
Harkovich can score any zone he damn well wants, even though he's a Jack, because he's a Warcaster.
No, understandably, but I mean, let's put him aside. Do the scenarios change that game? Or
yeah. Well, I think the reduction to 5 points makes it just that little bit easier to play the scenario game. The other thing is, with most Jack Spams, you have very little in the way of infantry, so they can contest all day long, but they're not going up on points if you happen to luck into something with a lot of round zones. And that means that often the problem is not, can I stop him from scoring? The problem is, how do I score?
Right.
And that is often a easier problem. If your opponent can't score on their turn, then you have time to push them out of zones, to throw them around, to somehow get them out of that zone, and then you can do the scoring.
Over to Bubba. What do you think? Does the 2017 versus the 2016, does that change this at all?
So 2017, I think, does help in the matchup against it, because in 2016... Sorry, it does and it doesn't. In 2016, if you're playing against it and you just wanted to get to 5 points, all you had to do was get to 5. It didn't matter if they had 2, 3, or 4. As long as you got to 5 first, you were good. You got the win. Now he can just be like, okay, well, you're up to 3. I'll just score 1 here and slow your game down. The Harkovich player will. We'll just talk about Harkovich for the time. I'll just keep referencing that. Whereas it makes it more difficult for him, because in 2017, the scenarios are a lot more spread out. Which is what Harkovich doesn't really want. Like a Jack Spam wants to kind of trundle up in a brick, like traditionally they would. So they don't want to be sending like a one jack off to the left or the right here and there to contest a flag or something. They don't want to be doing that. And again, what George mentioned is they are now limited in their scoring. They can't score circles. They can't score flags. Only their caster could do that, or any odd soul like a Forge Seer they bring. And the Forge Seers are not getting up there. It's not happening. So
they take all day to get to the midline.
Yeah. So like if you can pick one of them off, if he's trying to go for a flag, then you can really control that game. And say you're playing on Boobs 2.0, 2 circles and 2 flags. What's the Harkovich Jack spam do? Harkovich can score the flag. Like, that's it. And then he contest circles. So like, it becomes a bit of a mind game there. Like,
hey, my list has that clutch unit of mechanics I run into the zone.
Sure. Sure. Go ahead and do that.
They die really quick.
12-12 or 12-13 or something.
Yeah, they just
I think I've killed a lot of them in the last little while.
Oh my god, you've killed so many.
Okay, guys, we're actually going to leave that for today. That is all for this week's focus. There is so much more information. We could go on for days about how to deal with arm skew and how to deal with it in tournaments, how to deal with it in casual play, other than just giving your opponent the finger and telling them I don't want to play anymore. I'm taking my toys
The answer
and
is
I'm
to
going
put
home.
Behemoth, the old one, in a sock, and then waiting for them to come out of the door, and then you
to
just
beat the hell
back
out of
the
them.
head.
But it's time for the
Upside free army.
But it's time for the lightning round. So hit that button.
The lightning round.
I have a little news for everybody in case Minty's out there and listening. We need you back, brother.
We need more questions.
What happened was Minty has decided to, looks like, take a break from Facebook, which meant all of my Minty Fresh questions disappeared. I had like 10 of them lined up, but
You'll
they're
have to get-
all
you'll have to
they're
make
all
sure he emails you
gone.
some more.
I'll have to get him to email me some more. So you can email us. You can message me at the Moose Machine Network or wherever you like. We monitor all of them, their channels.
All them dare channel.
So we only have 9 questions tonight because we don't have a Minty Fresh question. That's the way this goes.
I could make one up.
But the good news is,
I could actually make up a good one.
Georgie Fresh.
no, you don't get to make up anything. I mean that way,
Except rules.
except for rules.
Oh, sweet. I get to make up rules? Bubba, we got some things to do.
So, okay. Question number 1. I have a magical sword called Doomsayer. Who am I?
Your sword is named Doomsayer.
Doomsayer.
Dr. Doom.
So,
I'm going to say Maximus.
no, it is Terminus.
Ah.
Question number 2. What is the threshold of a feral warp wolf?
Bing bong.
Bubba.
9.
It is 9.
That's high.
Question number 3. What 3 hymns do the choir of Menoth sing?
Their effect or their names?
The names.
Ooh.
I can't get.
I'm going to try.
Bing-
Well, go
Bing
ahead.
bong.
Oh, it's Bubba.
The hymn of battle, the hymn of shielding, and the hymn of protection. I don't know.
It's Passage. The
Passage.
third one is
I knew Passage was
I'll
one
give
of
you
them.
2. I'll give you 2 points for that. Bubba's at 3. Question number 4. What is the P+S of the corollaries bash?
Ding dong.
Go, George.
It's 8, isn't it?
No, it's 6.
Bing bong.
Oh,
no. I
only
knew it was 6.
I should have
It is
given you
only
another
6.
chance.
That's terrible.
I'm just hoping. It's hope. It's purely hope.
It's one of those it's like the last ditch effort.
Yeah, and
with
you do it, and you're like
the solo,
6.
the solo with the
It's not
knife. Like,
8.
Beating somebody to death with a shepherd.
yeah. Question number 5. What does Hakar's ghost shield do?
Bing bong.
Bubba.
For every soul he has on him, he gains a point of armor.
Yep.
Tis true. Question number 6. Magnus 1 or 2. Who am I? I have a mechanical arm that knocks you down.
Bing bong.
Bubba.
Magnus 2.
It's actually both. They both.
Oh.
Trick question.
To be fair, your question was phrased Magnus 1 or
It's
You did say 1 or
trick
2.
It
question.
was a
I'm
trick
an
question.
asshole.
So no matter which.
So
one
you're
you
right.
answer.
You're absolutely right. You get a point. Question number 7. What is the range on the Storm Strider's lightning cannon?
Bing bong.
Bubba?
14.
It is 14.
I was going to say too high.
Question number 8.
Way too fucking high.
It should be 10.
Question number 8. Greylord escorts can be attached to what?
Bing bong.
It actually was George was first on that one.
Doom Reavers.
It is Doom Reavers.
Specifically Doom Reaver Swordsman.
It is specific. I was about to say.
Is there something else, or is this a future proofing?
No, that's why they're called Doom Reaver Swordsman now, because there's going to be a new unit of Doom Reavers eventually.
Ooh.
Doom Reaver Horsemen.
More jerks.
Maximus's friends.
All right.
Probably like Doom Reaver Halberdiers or something.
Question number 9, which is the final question for this evening and the hardest one I could think of. What is the defense of an earthborn dire troll next to water?
Bing bong.
Bubba.
14.
It is 14. Yeah. All right. This week's winner is
the guy who knows things.
Bubba Dalton, King of the North,
who brought on specifically to know things.
Well, the difference also is that he sits on the shitter all the time and reads the War Room. Not only will you become a better player, but you'll be able to win the lightning round.
Like it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually like a legitimate thing.
Hey, and you'll be a couple pounds lighter.
And
Tim throwing shade at me. Holy fuck!
What is totally disagree. Tim just said, "Get fucked, George."
Wow, that's the harshest thing he's ever said.
He goes away for one weekend and
plays. Yeah, exactly. Bubba, what did you do to Tim?
What did you do to Tim? You took the knife.
It's not what I did. It's what Corey did.
What stays at the War Machine?
What stays is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this week. We have a little bit of upkeep. First thing, we need the Prime Minister of Life for War Machines regular upkeep, demanded upkeep for us. What's going on in the world of Fraser this week?
Trollblood Scrum is going on right after, shortly after we're done, within an hour. Still, you need to report your games to WMHBattleReporter.com.
They put up a whole bunch of stats this week, and there's definitely some gulfs and valleys in what is being reported.
Yeah, for sure. So everybody report your stuff.
Don't just report your winning games, people.
Yeah. We're tired of seeing Ghost Fleet on there. I think that's everything for Fraser right now. He'll probably slap me later because I forgot something, but
don't forget that
he wants to be a podcaster.
Oh, that is true.
That's still going.
Getting on that.
I would like to win that.
Yeah, then you could be a podcaster.
Real podcast. Finally be legit.
Real podcast.
Yeah, you could have your own podcast.
What if we all won? Could we go on like some other podcast instead of this one?
I want Jason to win, and we'll just have like it by himself called like Deep Thoughts with Maelstrom. I hate Ghost Fleet. Free models are bullshit. That'll be it.
Plus bonuses all the way.
Everybody, you get a tree off to the left side of the board because you're circle. Awesome. Bubba, do you have any events or anything you want to talk about in your area?
Well, the fundraiser, like I talked about. I think the Dragon's having a tournament on September 16th, which is a couple days before we leave for Europe. But hilariously, we're just doing it as champions, not like a regular steamroller, so we can practice our. We're not going to practice our list or anything. We're just going to fuck around, which is probably better. Yeah. Just like have some relaxing time. No, all I can say is the WTC will be streaming again. So if Canada manages to get on there, even if it's a ridiculous hour, you guys should watch it. I know some guys got up like really early in Ontario last year to watch us because we played the first round of the second day at like 9 a.m. So it was like 4 a.m. here, and guys got up and watched it. It's really sweet though. So like, just, words of encouragement for the guys would be great. We're super pumped to be going. And we want to do well, and we want to make Canada proud again. We got third last year, so we're in it to win it, to be perfectly honest. Like our goal is to go and win. Like we think we're good enough to win it. So we really want to try to, and we are nervous, of course we are. So any words of encouragement, if you want to give me $5 as well, that'd be super great.
Super great.
It's fucking expensive. If everyone I know in War Machine could give me $5, that'd be fucking hilarious. I would just be like, sweet, there's my flight.
Okay, so we'll just hand this over to George while Jason and I go home, get some ice cream. You posted like 800 events on the OGWC
There was
page.
only 25.
25 events. You've got
Fuck
one.
you, George.
You've got 1 minute.
There's only 5 more to post.
You've got 1 minute.
As Tim the Enchanter once said, "Get fucked, George."
You've got 1 minute.
That's going on a t-shirt.
That's going on a t-shirt. So you've got 1 minute to abbreviate some of the highlights of top events coming up in the next month or so.
So the big one is CCBB. Come on out if you don't have your War Machine weekend invite yet and you want to stomp some noobs, come out to the Ottawa Meta and pick up your ticket. The big things going on in the Ottawa Meta are 2 tournament series. One is between Ottawa and Montreal. So there's going to be 4 tournaments in Ottawa, 4 tournaments in Montreal. The winner of that series gets to pick where the finals happen, whether Ottawa or Montreal. That'll be fun. And
What if I win?
well, then you get to pick where it goes. Not
my
there, in Ottawa or Montreal.
Not what you said.
The other one that's coming up is the Out of the Box tournament. It is going to be a tournament series where there quiet you, where there is 10 places for winning the tournament series. There's going to be 8 tournaments. And then there are 6 places for showing up to game nights, because this is a store-based tournament series. And I will let you know there is about, I think it's 2 lists. It's like $500 worth of models.
God damn.
And that's over and above the like the money that we take in for prizes.
Right.
Like that is being donated.
Cool.
For that series. So there's some.
So there's
big
like
prizes.
and then there's another million things coming up, which will.
Oh, all the other stuff is like the release events, the longest night, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay, and we'll tell you more about that as the weeks continue. Stay tuned.
So jealous.
So many events, and
What, Fergus doesn't have a thriving meta?
Before I go, I want to remind everybody that there is the Ottawa Gatineau painting competition is coming up in October. We'll repost that on our page. The guys from that kind of remind everybody on a weekly basis, and I try to share that to make sure. Come on out. It's a super fun event, and the guys like Jean and those guys are just amazing to hang out with, and you'll learn a lot of really, really cool stuff.
And see some amazingly painted models.
Do you think if I brought my army for WC up there, each one of those guys could paint like one model and then it would be done?
It would be done if you just well, you know.
Well, what we need to do at one of our tournaments is set up a speed painting thing.
Well, that's what
Where during one round, everybody takes one of Bubba's models and speed paints it in 2 hours.
You got a lot of. Trust me on this one, because we had that at MooseCon last year. I ended up with a lot of pink and purple and bright orange and fuck you wills on the bottom of the bases.
I don't think it would be well painted models.
Well, when people caught on to the fact that I just wanted half my circle painted so that it had more than 3 colors on it, they were like, "Yeah, this is true." Okay, so the last thing I want to mention is remember that the Wizards Tower does have they have a lot of models. Go down there and get your models from the Wizards Tower. Remember that in Canada they're the #1 place to go for your Magic the Gathering stuff. So yeah, they're great. They keep us with our lights on. They pay for us to be able to go to some of the big events that you guys get to see us at. And as long as you support them, in a way, you're supporting us. So that's how this whole thing works. So support them, and don't forget to subscribe to the Muse on Mini channel. So
get your new Grimkin tokens from Muse, because they're awesome.
Yeah, the new Grimkin tokens are out, and that's it for us tonight, guys. That is as far as I'm gonna go. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Dice down.
We made it.
Death Clock Has 60 Minutes is a proud part of the Muse on Minis Network. Podcasts go online every Thursday morning. You can watch the show live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, and keep in touch with us on our Facebook page. Just Google Moose Machine. If you can't find us, you're doing the internet wrong.
All right, it's time for that post-show goodness, everybody. I actually have to go to Out of the Box and change the dates on our painting thing, because I got
because now
I got
you're
booked for a shoot. So that's why I didn't remind everybody about that, because I still have not had a chance to go talk to Dan.
I'm so proud of you guys. Not one John Cena thing that entire show.
I was being good. I wanted to just save that.
Proud of us, or a little sad?
I'm pretty upset about it.
There's
nothing I like more than going on podcast, putting on the King of the North mask, and inflating my own fucking ego. And then when the cast is done, I take off the King of the North mask and be normal old sad Bubba and just cry myself to sleep.
Well, soon you'll be able to not have to work 17 hours a day and
yay,
cripplingly be.
So Capital City Bloodbath.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming.
Are you?
Oh, dang.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Be there.
I'm gonna crush all your fucking souls.
You're gonna come just kick some puppies.
Just mostly maelstroms.
Oh, he's
won't
not
be
going to
there.
be there.
He's not gonna be there, but
Go
I
back to
will
my
let you
homeland.
into his
He's
house.
so scared. He's already not coming.
Oh, darn it. I have a trip to go on.
I heard a rumor, so I fucking booked a plane ticket.
So I'll let you into his house so you can not metaphorically, but actually kick his puppy.
Oh, perfect. If you could actually let me into his house, that'd be great because I need somewhere to sleep.
Well,
I think Marla will be kind of weirded out. And at the same,
Just a
she's
little
watched,
bit.
Wake
she's
up,
watched the
there's Bubba.
podcast long enough. She'd be like,
She
"Oh,
knows who
hi,
Bubba
Bubba.
is.
Come on in.
Yeah.
You want some dinner?"
Yeah, we have a guest room. Go on.
That'd be great. But yes, yeah, I'm coming with Beauchamp and Orr.
nice.
Whoa, that's
Holy
going to be an
Crush some
odd.
dreams.
Crush
That'll be
some dreams.
No,
awesome.
it's you only have to worry about one of those people. The other two are qualified.
Oh no, they're still gonna crush dreams. They're qualified. They don't have to worry about winning. The
Oh man, Matt McSolstice is going to be so like.
Matt
I was
I'm
owning
calling
this
him
shit.
that in raid tonight.
I was going to own this shit, and he's like, "Wait, what?"
Uh-oh.
Or no!
Son of a bear.
God damn it! I was owning this meta.
Oh, so Matt McWaters, he's a Montreal player. Every time he's on, we call him by a different seasonal name.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't actually know his last name.
Mac McWinters, Mac McSummers,
I'm with Will. I have no idea.
It's
what his actual name is.
Well, it's
now.
been
Yeah.
changed every time.
When we played, at
I
the
said it
tournament,
once wrong after I played him in a tournament, and then it just sort of spiraled out of control.
When we played at
Anyway,
the tournament, I wrote
he
down
owns the, he
McSpring
owns the
on
meta, so I must crush him.
Well, yeah,
yes.
that'd be hilarious.
He's the best player in Ottawa from Montreal.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, there are
I'll-
several
I'll-
good players in
I'll
Ottawa.
grind his bones into dust. That's fine.
Nice. I'm going to totally tell him that tonight. That'll be awesome.
That'll be
Bubba
awesome.
says he's
What?
grinding your bones into
Bubba
dust.
says he's coming for you, man.
So the secret is to take the chocolate milk and throw it to the left, and you run right.
That's how
Fun
you.
fact, I'm too fast. I'll catch the chocolate milk, snap your neck in half, and chug the chocolate
But
milk.
that's the closest way. The closest thing you'll get to dodging Bubba.
Make sure you have one hanging around.
All right, guys, we're going to let this go at this point. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. It was actually a quite lively chat this evening.
Yeah, it's a good cast. All we have to do next time is get Bubba to turn on a light before laying down.
I don't know. This is fucking fantastic.
The death
glowing-
No, I knew exactly what I was
The
doing.
glowing death halo. All right, go back to your harem, Bubba. It's